Whatever I do to my own mom, it shouldn't matter to you. I'm doing everything to take care of my parents. This is my hard-earned money, so you shouldn't be complaining. If you disobey me, I'll divorce you."
With those words, my love for my husband Alex cooled off at once. I had been disappointed in my marriage, but at least I still have feelings that I had married a man who I had fallen in love with. But if he's going to talk to me like that, I won't tolerate it anymore. "What are you talking about? The money in the bank book that I created for our child was all a gift from my parents and your father, right? So, that's not the money you earned, is it?" Alex was at a loss for words when I told him the facts. Then he walks out of the house with a red face. He really is a helpless person. My name is Carol. I'm 30 years old and I'm an office worker. Alex and I have been married for 3 years and I just recently gave birth. Giving birth was very difficult as it was my first time, but I was very moved when I had my child in my arms for the first time. No matter how sick I was or how hard I struggled to take care of my child, every time I saw my son smile, my exhaustion was gone right away and I forget that I was even tired. What kind of kid will he be in the future? Will he be a great athlete? Or a brilliant student in his studies? Thinking these thoughts made me happy and motivated. I'm using my maternity leave at work and I'm spending a lot of time with my son. However, despite these happy days with my son, I have a problem. And that is my mother-in-law, Amy, who visits our house every day. My parents-in-law live about a 10-minute drive from our house. Amy is here on behalf of Alex, who is busy with work, and my parents who live far away in order to support me after the birth of our son, but she is not fulfilling that role at all. She never takes care of my son, and as soon as she arrives at my house, she sits down on the sofa and says, "Gimme snacks and tea." And then she just spends her time watching TV shows and DVD movies on the TV. I'm the one having to take care of her when she should be the one supporting me. One day, I couldn't stand it any longer and asked her to leave by saying, "You don't have to come anymore." But that evening, Alex lectured me about my actions.
"You've hurt my mother by trampling over her kindness to even try to support you."
Apparently, after being told to leave by me, Amy told Alex about it. Alex wouldn't stop getting angry even when I told him to stop because our son would start crying. Yes, Alex is a mama's boy. Thinking now, I really regret about how I didn't realize this before we got married. I really wish I could turn back time. Alex is as mama's boy as he can get. He nags me to cook like how his mother cooks, and he seemed to have his mother pick out his clothes for him, so he always leaves all of his clothes shopping to me.
"My mom did this, you know? My mom did that, you know? Why can't you be like my mom?"
I am really fed up with him saying my mom in every sentence. No matter what I say, he worships Amy like,
"My mom is great.
and
My mom never makes mistakes."
still, I wanted Alex to change his mind, so I voiced my opinion. I don't really need Amy to come over and if you help me raise our child. But even if I told him so, Alex would say,
No, no, no. I'm working and I'm tired. Besides, it would be better for the mother to take care of the child.
and so on, and he doesn't do anything at all. It makes me wonder if he actually even cares about his own son. Plus, he says that he's tired, but I'm also tired too. I'm the one who is always there for our son who cries at night, And I'm the one who is always there during that day, raising our son, doing housework, and even babysitting Amy. If Alex was to live the life I do now, he'd probably give up within an hour. I glare at my husband with these thoughts in my head. But he seemed to think it was none of his business and lays down on the sofa, ignoring me completely. Anything I say, Alex ignores, so babysitting Amy continues.
Hey, Carol, is lunch ready yet? I'm starving.
It is your role to support and help me cook in the first place, you know.
Hey, Carol, the baby's crying,
she says while I'm cooking. Your role is to... I give up. I can't even be bothered to think about it in my head, too. As I was exhausted from childcare and lack of sleep, the presence of Amy, who came in and did nothing to support me, was really causing me a lot of stress. But she doesn't matter to my beloved son. It is my husband who matters to my son, but since Alex is not cooperative at all, I am the only one who can be there for him.
Oh, it's already this late.
Well, I'd better get going. Around 5 p.m., Amy always uses my makeup table to put on her fancy makeup before heading out to town. What on earth is she doing, and where is she going? I got curious, so one day I asked her about it, and she answers in a happy tone.
I'm seeing my friends for a drink or tea, and doing many other fun things.
I really wonder if this is the truth. She wears a lot of makeup and expensive clothes just for that. Amy is 58 years old now, but she is a former model and looks younger than her actual age. If you were to tell me that she was in her late 40s, well, I wouldn't question that at all. That's why there was something fishy about this whole situation. But, well, I didn't really care about that, and I thought that if she was going out anyways, she should have done that during the time when she's at our home lounging around. And I guess about an hour later after that, my father-in-law, Bob, came over. I was getting really fed up with Amy's behavior day after day, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I consulted to Bob. Bob wanted to see his grandchild, so he made time in his busy schedule to come and see us. I wondered how such a kind father like him could have brought up such a short-tempered, immature husband like Alex.
I see. So, she just lounged around the whole day and left in the evening saying that she was meeting a friend.
Yes. Actually, I had secretly taken a video of how Amy usually spent her time at our place so that I could talk to Bob about it. Bob sighed as he watched the recorded video.
I am terribly sorry. If I had realized it earlier, I could have helped you more, Carol.
No, it's not your fault at all, Bob. Bob had said he would fully cooperate with me. After that, Bob started coming to my house to help and support me with various things. Bob is already retired, so he said that he could make time during the day. I told him I was sorry to ask him to do that for me, but Bob insists,
If I don't go, Amy will always be the parasite.
So he came almost every day. Thanks to him, Amy had stopped coming to our house, and I was relieved from the stress I had felt with her being around. I never thought that I would feel so much better just by not having Amy around. Bob always helps me with the housework and takes good care of our son. And unlike Alex, he always says something nice to me and expresses his appreciation for my hard work.
Thank you, Carol, for taking the trouble to cook lunch for us. It's very delicious.
I couldn't help but wonder why such a nice person like Bob chose a person like Amy. Bob tells me,
If Alex ever gets unreasonably angry with you again, just tell me.
which really made me feel better. I didn't realize how reassuring it is just to have someone be on your side. It has been a long time since Bob started to come over, and my son is now able to hold his head up on his own. This has allowed me to have a little more time to take care around the house than I did in the beginning. So, I decided to spend more time cleaning the house thoroughly, since I've only been cleaning around in a simple way. Once I cleaned the house properly, I began to notice some things. After cleaning the living room and my own room, I decided to clean the last place, Alex's room. Ugh, as I thought, it's dirty. My husband is like a child. Even in the living room, he'd take off his clothes that he used instead of putting them away, and it was completely the same in his room. The clothes he took off are everywhere on the floor, and the letters mailed to Alex were everywhere on the table. I was a bit shocked to see empty bags of snacks and medicine that had expired on the floor. At any rate, I threw the scattered clothes into the laundry basket, threw out the trash, and vacuumed. As I shoved the vacuum cleaner under his bed, I felt a strange sensation. Then, the vacuum cleaner made a strange sound. It sounded like something was stuck to the vacuum cleaner. I quickly turned it off and looked under the bed, and I saw something thin and rectangular lying on the floor under his bed. Without turning it on, I used the vacuum cleaner to take it out. It was a clear file, and inside the clear file, I saw a bank book. Unbelievable. It's awful to be this sloppy. I picked up the bank book and placed it on Alex's desk. At that moment, I gasped. I realized that it wasn't Alex's bank book, but a bank book that I had made for our son. Why would a bank book that is usually kept in another place be in Alex's room? My son's bank book contains the money which I received at the baby shower at the moment, but it has a good amount of money in it. My parents and Bob were so excited to give it to me for my grandson's future. I had a very bad feeling about it and looked inside the bank book, trembling with fear. What? The entire amount was withdrawn. I was so shocked that I opened Alex's desk drawer and took out his bank book. I knew I was overdoing it, but I really had to check it. I knew it! When I opened Alex's bank book, I found that his bonus, which had also just recently been deposited, had been withdrawn completely. And when I realized the balance was so small, my mind went blank. How could he? I was so stunned that I had slumped down on the spot. A few hours later, I questioned Alex when he came home from work, and he was angry with me regarding the fact that I had entered his room and nosed around. But when I continued to question him about the bonus and the baby shower gift, he finally confessed.
I use them to help my mom.
What do you mean? Why would we need to help Amy? I mean, I can't believe you go through our son's bank book. There's something wrong with you. When I said that, Alex's face turned red and he started to get angry.
Whatever I do to my own mom, it shouldn't matter to you. I'm doing everything to take care of my parents. This is my hard-earned money, so you shouldn't be complaining. If you disobey me, I'll divorce you.
With those words, my love for my husband Alex cooled off at once. I had been disappointed in my marriage, but at least I still have feelings that I had married a man who I had fallen in love with. But if he's going to talk to me like that, I won't tolerate it anymore. I said calmly as I picked up our son, who had woken up because of my husband's angry voice, and fussed over him. What are you talking about? The money in the bank book that I created for our child was all a gift from my parents and your father, right? So that's not the money you earned, is it? Then he walks out of the house with a red face. Ugh, he really is a helpless person. Then, about 30 minutes later, Alex had returned. I had just moved our son to the bedroom and put him to bed. He stood in front of me and said,
I didn't think you were that clueless.
and throws the divorce papers in my face.
I'm being serious. It's your fault for making me angry. You better live in poverty with the baby and regret.
Did he think that this would shut me up? I already had nothing but disrespect for my husband. If I stayed with him, my son would have a horrible personality just like him. I must leave him at once. As I was thinking about what to do after the divorce, my husband laughed as if he was proud of himself, perhaps thinking that I was too embarrassed to say anything.
Don't ever disobey me,
Alex says as he goes back to his room. The next day, I first submitted the divorce papers Alex had given me to the city office, and then took the bullet train to my parents' house. Since it was just an off-peak season, the movers came right away and moved my belongings. As for the wedding ring I got from Alex, I sold it. I was lucky because Alex had bought an expensive one, so I was able to sell them for a good price and save money on the bullet train fare. I was worried to take our son, who is still very small, out of the house, but he was curious and looked at the scenery outside on the bullet train with great interest. He didn't cry at all, and he was smiling the whole time, which was a relief. But I just have to make sure to take care of my son's health. I waited for the bullet train to arrive at our destination while I kept my guard up. When I arrived at the station, my parents were waiting for me in the car, and I quickly got on the car. The trip back to my parents' house went smoothly since I had called them last night. My parents were furious at Alex and Amy's behavior and told me that I should take my time to think about the future. Since I still have quite a bit of maternity leave left, I decided to stay with my parents for a while. As I was relaxing my time at my parents' house, I heard a ringtone from my phone. On the screen, I saw Amy's name. I picked up the phone thinking on why she is calling me.
Hey, Carol, where are you?
Amy's yelling suddenly echoed through the room. I'm glad I put the phone on speaker. If I had put it to my ear would have turned deaf. As I remained silent, thinking that she was being a pain in the ass, Amy continued to raise her voice.
Hey, are you listening to me? Because you're not coming home, my little boy Alex is crying, you know.
I said in a low voice to Amy, who was fussing about. Who the hell are you?
Huh?
Amy was so surprised that I suddenly said in such a low voice. Since I'd been nice to her up until now, I guess she did not expect such a low voice and in bad-tempered attitude. Ah, you mean that man who used to be my husband who is a mama's boy? I've broken up with that man, so since then, I've completely forgotten about you.
But broken up? You mean you filed the divorce papers?
Amy looks shaken up. Yeah, of course I did. That lousy man is bad for my child's education.
But I was the one who suggested him about using divorce papers as a threat. Why did you have to take it so seriously and filed it? Take it back now!
Amy had raised her voice again to accuse me. I see, so it was Amy's strategy after all. I can't take it back now. I already filed the divorce papers, so Alex and I are now strangers to each other.
Hey! Wait a minute! Come on, Alex. Say something to your wife.
It seemed like she had the phone on speaker as well. So Alex must have heard what I said earlier. His voice was trembling and seems to be crying.
Why did you file the divorce papers? You know that I wasn't being serious.
I was disgusted by him. He had been morally harassing me at home, but when he was cornered into his spot, he got very weak. Not a shred of manliness left in him. I say this to him. You shouldn't have blindly taken Amy's suggestions in the first place. If you marry your wife, that means that as a husband, you're supposed to protect your wife at all cost. Don't you think so? Do you have any idea how much I suffered because of Amy? But even so, Alex still says things like,
But it's natural for a son to take care of his own mother.
And so on. I had no choice but to tell him who Amy really is. You know, your mother, whom you cherish so much, is having an affair with the money she gets from you.
What?
Alex froze at my words.
What do you mean?
Alex trembles as he asks. Then Amy interrupts and says,
Hey, what are you talking about?
I calmly say, I did some research with Bob.
What?
Amy seemed quite upset, and her voice was trembling. Amy always went out in the evening all dressed up with makeup, so I met up with Bob and followed her. She said she was going to have tea with a friend, but for some reason, she walked into an expensive-looking restaurant arm in arm with a man in his 40s.
Mom, what's the meaning of this?
There must be some kind of mistake. You must have mistaken with someone else who looks like me.
It's no use trying to get away with it. We have already hired a professional to get proof of her affair. Bob is already preparing for a divorce and will demand alimony from you and the man who you are having an affair with.
No way!
Amy seems to be in a panic. And she forgot to actually deny the affair.
You need to explain, Mom. You're saying Mom used the money I gave her to play with a guy who wasn't Dad?
Oh, no, that's...
Amy is even more in a panic from Alex's comment. The rest is your problem, so please do as you please. I says so as I hang up the phone and blocked Amy's number. Afterwards, Bob divorced Amy, who confronted her with proof of the affair and divorce papers. Amy tried to go back to the man she was having an affair with, but apparently he found out that she had lied about her age by about 10 years and dumped her. She lied that she was in her late 40s, but actually she was about to turn 60, so it's no wonder he'd dump her. Amy apparently tried to go back to Alex, but as expected, the money she gave him was used for the affair, and Alex finally woke up and was fed up of Amy. He says,
I don't trust you, Mom. I don't know when you might steal all my money.
And he apparently brushed off Amy. I don't know what Amy is doing now, but it would be impossible for her to get a job with good conditions after being a housewife all her life. I am sure that she is currently working a low-paying job and desperately trying to pay her alimony. As for Alex, he called me and apologized, saying,
I'm really sorry for the trouble I caused you about Mom. I did something horrible and I can't take back what I did. As for the baby shower gift that I withdrew without permission, I borrowed money from my father and transferred it to your account. I will spend the rest of my life to atone for my sins. So, let's be a family again.
As soon as my husband said that, I got goosebumps all over. Only men with common sense and sincere men are allowed to say, "Let's be a family." A mama's boy should never say that. I coldly said, "I refuse. Just pay for the child support." And I hung up the phone and blocked his number from calling me. I heard that Alex was quite in a shock, but as long as he owes money to Bob, he has to work to pay off the debt. And since Bob is looking over him thoroughly, Alex has no choice but to pay for child support without any delays. I have been in touch with Bob since then, and he says that Alex is working and paying his bills every day with a face like he is about to die. It's really a good feeling to get back at them like this. Meanwhile, my maternity leave is over, so I rented a room in a new apartment and started living with my son. Currently, I am working very hard to raise my sweet son. I will do whatever I can to take care of my son, so I will continue to earn more and more money so that my son can do whatever he wants to do in the future. I am so disgusted by both the mama's boy, immature husband, and the mother-in-law who is having an affair. But I'm so glad that the father-in-law is a sane person and was on Carol's side. Carol may have a tough time as a single mother from now on, but I hope she hangs in there. I wish that she and her son a very happy life together. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video.